A lot of gamers still think that a desktop computer has to be big, ginormous even, but this right here is proof that is not the case. This is the Origin Chronos, and this system is one of the smallest powerful gaming desktops that you can buy today. Starts at about $1,500, but our review unit, going for $3,500, is a real beast. It has a Core i9 9900K processor, plus one of the new Nvidia RTX 2080 Ti graphics cards. So, it's a lot of power and a very small space. Let's talk about how it performs. Now again, this is a very small computer. How small though? How small? Well, we're talking about 4 inches wide. That's pretty small, right? It's about 12 inches high and about 14 inches deep. So think about those specs for a moment, okay? Like that's probably smaller than your AV receiver. That's probably, that's a little bit bigger than an Xbox One X. So we're very much talking about something that's in the ballpark of a lot of like mid-sized home theater items. And so for a computer, that's really, really small. And the Chronos actually beats out some competitors like the Falcon Northwest Tiki and Digital Storm Bolt in size. Now, there is kind of a downside here as far as the design goes though, because while it is very small, I don't know, you tell me, what do you think? Is it much to look at? I really don't think it is. It's a little bit boring. It's got a little bit of that shop class feel. A lot of this metal, blank metal, straight edged metal. It's not terrible, but it's not the best looking thing in the world, and that is where those competitors do take an edge. In particular, Falcon Northwest Tiki, that's always been a real showcase for design. It's a beautiful desktop, and it's not quite the same level here. So if you're concerned about impressing people who come by, maybe this system isn't going to do that. So one of the most amazing things about this little computer is the fact that it's actually not that difficult to upgrade overall. Now, getting it open is a little bit challenging. It's actually really simple in theory. You just got to take these thumb screws off the back, and then you pop the side panel back a little bit, and it swings off. Good to go. Only real problem is that right here is the CPU radiator, right? And that's attached to the motherboard. So the panel is not actually going to go too far unless you also remove the entire radiator, which is a bit of a pain in the butt. That said, even if it's not that big a deal, you can kind of put the panel off to the side, and then you can, swap out the RAM, swap out the hard drive. You're probably not going to have to take the entire thing apart to do that. Video card can be a little bit tricky because it's on this 90-degree riser. So you see here, the video card normally would be sort of at 90 degrees to the motherboard. So this one actually, the top of the video card is facing out. So that's a little more involved than you normally see with a desktop computer. It means there's an extra little bit there to remove when you replace the video card. But again, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's that difficult. Most people can probably wrap their heads around that, get that fixed up there. Also, very important point, if you want a system this small, doesn't matter who you buy it from, you're gonna deal with that same thing. So if you want something this size, you just kind of gotta get used to it. That's one of the downsides to having such a small PC. Now let's talk about those internals. They're pretty awesome. As mentioned earlier, 9900K processor and a RTX 280 Ti video card. That obviously is not the stock spec. The stock spec, you're going to be getting a Ryzen processor with a Nvidia GTX 1050 Ti, which is obviously quite a bit less powerful than this particular configuration. Still, it's really impressive that you can upgrade to this sort of power in this system. And we saw some really good results from it in our testing. In Geekbench 4, we got a result of about 32,000 in the multi-core test. For comparison, this same Core i9 9900K processor and a larger Asus Strix desktop hit about 34,000. So that is quicker in the Asus system, but again, it's a larger system. Probably the cooling's a little bit better, there's a little bit more space inside, so it's really impressive actually you can hit that in this form factor. Also, think about this. This system performs better in processor benchmarks than an 18-core Alienware we saw early in 2018. So And that system blew our mind when we got it. And now this system, which is 4 times smaller, is actually faster than that. So can't complain too much there. Now the gaming performance is also really awesome. That RTX 2080 Ti video card is pretty much the best you're going to get for gaming these days, and it turns in some really excellent results that don't seem to pay any mind to the size of this system. So for some examples, well, Battlefield 1, 4K at maximum detail, the very, very highest. You're going to be looking at 105 frames per second. That's pretty ridiculous. I don't think anyone could really complain about that. Now, in a game that's more demanding, we loaded up Deus Ex, Mankind Divided. Again, 4K maximum settings. This is a notorious GPU killer, this game, but it still got 49 frames per second. So that's totally playable. It's not quite the 60 frames per second most PC gamers really, really, really want to hit, but still totally playable. That's really, really impressive. Now, 4K gaming overall, I think is totally doable on this desktop. But I would say, actually, this is probably a better fit for a 1440p 144 hertz monitor. That would, I think, be the sweet spot, because you're going to be able to get a lot of games where it will hit up to about that 144 hertz maximum at 1440p, even with all the eye candy turned on. And that's going to be a really beautiful and really smooth experience. And if you get HDR on that, you're going to be in heaven. You're really going to love that. Now, all this gaming power, all this CPU power, well, there is definitely one downside that you should know, and something you can't see but you probably can hear, is that this system gets noisy. It does get a little noisy. When you have a game playing at 4K and ultra settings, you know, this video card is going to be doing its thing, okay? And this video card, as you might note, it's kind of right there. So yeah, if your desktop's sitting on your desk right next to you, pretty much got a direct path right to your ears. You can solve that a little bit with this system since it is small. You can kind of put it under your desk. You can put it sort of tucked away somewhere maybe. That could reduce the problem a bit. I also want to mention that not all noise is the same. There is quality to it, and the quality of this noise is not bad. It's more of a whir that's kind of like pleasant and constant. You know, it's not like a tick, tick, tick or rattling noise. Like, that is a problem you can run into sometimes, and I hate it when that happens. So I didn't notice this here, but you know, if you're going to game a lot on this, you're going to have it on your desk. I mean, probably plan to use headphones. You're probably not going to want to be using speakers because you're going to notice the noise from this system. Now overall, the Origin Chronos is a really robust small desktop. We would like to see more thoughtful design, something that's a little bit less blah, just in general, and it'd be nice if the noise was lower, but those are really our main points of concern, and they're not very big ones. Our real point here is this is a really, really quick system for the size, and if you want something that's small, you're going to want to look at this because, you know, I've mentioned there's competitors like the Falcon Northwest Tiki. Overall, we really like the Tiki and probably would recommend that a little bit more in general. But here's the thing, the Chronos is smaller. The Chronos are smaller than pretty much all of its competitors that are going to fit this same hardware. So that's the thing. If you want the smallest gaming desktop you can get, definitely take a look at the Origin Chronos.